No way it's that good, right? Okay, Cyberpunk Edgerunners is freaking amazing, and as Keanu put it,
You're breathtaking!
but in all seriousness, with how terrible the launch for Cyberpunk 2077 was, I wasn't really too confident with the anime at first and worried how CD Projekt Red will handle this collaborative project with Studio Trigger. However, with the amount of hype and positive reviews surrounding Cyberpunk Edgerunners, I just had to watch and binge the entire show in one sitting, and what can I say, I was completely blown away at how fun the show was, and the anime is proving to not only be more memorable than the game itself, but outright one of the best animes to come out this year. But full disclaimer, I never played Cyberpunk 2077 because I have a potato PC, so my knowledge of the game is limited to just the memes and clips of the game itself. And sure, maybe some of the things might be lost on me since I won't really understand the references and Easter eggs in the show. However, even with that limited understanding, watching the show still felt completely fine and it didn't really ruin my enjoyment for the anime at all. Studio Trigger has always been known for their amazing art, and this anime is no different, being an absolute visual treat to watch. They managed to capture the atmosphere of the technocratic nightmare that Cyberpunk is famous for, being able to take the interesting world created by Mike Pondsmith, translating it perfectly into anime form. Whenever we get any shots of Night City, it always looks amazing with its colorful and beautiful vibrant neon lights. Even the inhabitants of the city we see in the background feels like real people with their own stories to tell, making everything feel like an actual living city, which is a far cry from the actual game itself. And the fight scenes are crazy as well, and you can tell that the animators were having a field day when they were doing the animations, with some really incredible visuals added to them, which further helps with the gore and other more violent aspects of the show. Trigger was definitely not afraid to show violence when they needed to, with blood splattering everywhere, bodies exploding in an exaggerated manner, and the coolness that comes with the cybernetic implants. The visual effects associated with the different cybernetic implants we see, especially the Sanderviston, was really cool as well, adding a sort of intangible air and slickness to the scene whenever it's used. The color schemes, character designs, and art style just screams Trigger, but I guess it's to be expected since Hiroyuki Imaishi is the director behind this anime. And if you did not know, he has worked on projects like Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill, so it's not a surprise that the animation style has the familiar stylistic, fast-paced and over-the-top visuals we come to expect from him. Because of this approach, you don't really feel the pacing slowing down or dragging on, and I did find myself pausing a lot just to appreciate the beauty of the different scenes and the amount of detail that went into making it. And I'm sure many people were able to appreciate the beauty of the cultured scenes in the anime as well. But in any case, the visuals aren't the only things that really stand out as excellent in this series. The sound design and OST were incredible as well, borrowing a lot of sounds from the game itself to further enhance the atmosphere of the show. The choices in music were definitely impeccable, melding the more techno and futuristic sounds of Cyberpunk with the incredibly traditional hard and out rock that accentuates the unique style of Mike Pondsmith's vision of Night City. Also, the voice actors definitely did an amazing job in bringing the characters to life and filled them with so much personality. Now, with the technical stuff out of the way, what is the story of Cyberpunk Edgerunners about? Basically, we follow David Martinez, a troubled high schooler who lives together with his mom in poverty and struggling to pay the bills. But despite their financial troubles, his mom continues to work her ass off just to make sure her son can go to a good school and eventually climb the corporate ladder to become an elite couple in the future. However, Night City is not a good place to live in, especially for someone born to the street life, and his normal life comes to a halt when he and his mother were caught in the crossfire during a gang attack on the highway. His mother was gravely injured, but because they live in a hyper-capitalist world where powerful mega corporations basically rule over the world, everything needs money and he couldn't afford to save his mother from death. This caused David to grow cynical with the very city of dream that has abandoned him, even going so far as to use the Sanderviston to give himself the powers to overcome this unfair and cruel world, but at the cost of exhausting his body and slowly losing his own sanity. Eventually, he meets a mysterious femme fatale named Lucy and he will join her crew, becoming a mercenary for hire. And as the story goes on, we are presented with a tragic but beautiful journey to see the struggles of the Edgerunners, and before you know it, David will eventually make a name for himself in this unforgiving world. And although the overall story sounds quite straightforward, the underlying themes that the show is trying to portray is definitely what made it so compelling to watch. Because underneath the surface of David's story, I think the show is trying to convey the idea that sometimes we are burdened or cursed to chase after the dreams that aren't truly yours, a concept that gets established very early on by Lucy. The abstract dream that his mother placed on him, and then the physical curse of the Sanderviston, is basically what kept him going throughout the series, and eventually we see how he is constantly cursed to inherit the dreams of physical parts of his companions, becoming overwhelmed by the burden of trying to fulfill their dreams, just as Atlas was forced to carry the weight of the world. Even the dream that Lucy shared with him, although it was in good intentions, eventually turns into a curse that David has to bear yet again and becomes the straw that broke the camel's back. That's why I think that Cyberpunk Edgerunners did an amazing job with the storytelling and is able to deliver such a fantastic story about the choices of self-sacrifice and burden, how sometimes the choices you make in life aren't really yours and the road to hell is sometimes paved with good intentions. Of course, with any good story, the characters play an important role as well, and the show definitely delivered in that regard, albeit with a few minor issues. The dynamic between characters feel natural, and their actions, goals and morals perfectly align with the setting and situations that they find themselves in. And for a show that only has 10 episodes, I was surprised how interesting and nuanced the characters were, although I did wish that some of the supporting characters could have gotten more time to develop. Like for Maine and Rebecca, I really wanted to see more of their story or at least seeing more of their relationship with David and the other members of their crew. Also, justice for Rebecca.
デイビッドじゃん。元気？あれ？どうしたの？なんかよ。
Now, the villains are probably the weakest part about the show, being the stereotypical mustache-twirling character archetypes, but they do fulfill their role as the antagonistic force that helps to push our main cast of characters to the eventual climactic ending of the show. The two main characters by far had the most development, both have great chemistry with each other and the relationship felt surprisingly natural with how fast it was developed. They also had clear motivations and believable personality traits that helped to set them apart from one another. David as a main character was a refreshing sight to behold. While not groundbreaking, he has an empathetic if not heavy-handed story on the perils of late-stage capitalism, and seeing him struggling to live up to the dreams he has been given just felt relatable and frustrating at the same time. It really helps us to understand his perspective as a character, why he does what he does, and the pain he must be experiencing whenever he loses someone close to him. As for Lucy, her design was simple yet badass, and her personality is the perfect juxtaposition to David's, making their character dynamic and interactions always a delight to watch. Every scene with her was amazing, especially during her deep dive into the old web, and she's definitely one of my favorite characters in the show. Her character development in the beginning was amazingly written, but when we get to the last few episodes, it felt like they somewhat sidelined her character and the motivation behind it just feels underwhelming. But despite my criticism, at the end of the day, the characters are still really well written, they feel natural and grounded, helping to make the world of Edgerunners more realistic and believable. Anyways, everything about Cyberpunk Edgerunners was just something else, and it was an amazing experience from beginning to end, packed to the absolute brim with amazing storytelling, crazy action scenes, interesting characters, and the insanely high production quality. However, 10 episodes honestly felt like it passed by too quickly, and it wouldn't be nice to have an extra episode or two just to experience the world of Cyberpunk and get to know more of the characters. But in any case, Studio Trigger fucking delivered, and I'm glad that CD Projekt Red gave them the budget and creativity they needed to make this show special. You know that you witness something truly amazing when you feel empty and sad after finishing a show that has managed to not just grab your attention, but your heart as well. And if I had the chance to experience Cyberpunk Edgerunners for the first time again, I definitely would, and you should too. I hope you enjoyed my review on Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and if you did, don't forget to give it a like as well as subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell to stay up to date with all my content. As always, thanks for watching and stay safe everyone.